can check it. That's why accounting is so much more comfortable to do than valuation, right? Balance sheets have to balance. It balances, I'm done. The problem in valuation, you get done with the valuation, you look and say, how do I know I'm right? I'll tell you the answer, you don't. And you have to be okay with it. There is no confirmation mechanism that I can offer you. That's why I use the word faith. What's the essence of faith? Why do you go to church every week or temple every week? It's because you have faith that God exists. You say, prove it to me. I can't prove it. The same thing applies in investing. If you ask me, prove to me that valuation works. I don't have proof. I have faith. And I can't pass that faith on to you. So when I teach my valuation class, I tell people, at the end of this class, you have to decide for yourself whether this works for you. I can teach you how to value a company, but I can't give you faith. That's got to come from within. Maybe you will develop faith, maybe you will not. And if you don't develop faith, it's not the end of the world. You can buy ETFs and index funds and you'll be perfectly happy. And here's my definition of faith. And it's going to sound morbid. I ask people who are active investors. Let's say you get to the age of 85, you're on your deathbed. I told you it was a morbid thought. And I come to you with some statistics. I say, look, over the last 60 years, you've been doing valuation and picking stocks, and you made 8.13% a year. This is cruel and unusual for somebody on the deathbed. And then I say, you know what, if you put your money in ETFs and index funds over the last 60 years, you'd have made 8.22%. So you've spent 60 years of your life doing 2 hours of research every night. And you've essentially made less money than you could have by just putting your money. Would you be okay with it? And if your answer is no, I tell people don't do active investing. I'll be okay with it. You know why? Because I enjoy the process so much that even if at the end of the game you told me you're not going to make any money of this, I'm okay. I've had lots of fun doing it. And that's, to me, part of the reason the storytelling works is if I were just crunching through spreadsheets, I would drive myself crazy. Because when you do spreadsheets, you want affirmation. I did all this hard work. I tortured myself. I need to be rewarded. And the market says, no, you don't need to be rewarded. I'm going to take away 20%. And your neighbor who picks stocks based on astrological signs is making millions. You say, this is so unfair. Yeah. It's the way the world is. So, unfortunately, there is no way to know. But that's the part about faith is it might come, it might not, but it's got to come from within.
Okay. And a small, quick follow-up question is, when we look at valuation, how do we learn? Like, for instance, if the number come back agreeing with my prediction, does it mean that I did a good job? Like, how can I tell which part is my
Here's
work,
what I
which
tell
part is
myself.
luck?
When I pick a stock and it goes up, the first thing I tell myself is, I got lucky. And then I say, okay, maybe I did something on the side. Because luck is the dominant paradigm in this business. There's so much stuff that's out of your control that you really can't do much about. And it helps me both on the plus and the minus side. That's why I can be sanguine about the stocks that go down, is you can't be selective. And this is what behavioral finance finds. When something works, you want to claim credit for yourself. When something doesn't, what do? You blame the rest of the world. I mean, when I talk about taking ownership of your investments, what I'm talking about is taking ownership of both sides of the investment. So we need to behave exactly the same way when we win as we lose. And that's really tough to do. I have to force myself to try to do it, and it doesn't come easily to me.
So you've written